Teacher Training Part 2, and in this segment we're going to cover the teaching materials. We're going to cover the physical materials that you're going to be using as well as the online resources that you're going to be using. So we provide all books that you're going to need, whether it's a high school class, college class, 8th grade class. We provide all of the resources. We do have a number of books with us today back here on this table, and I think Debbie can help you get any books that we have for you. So please stop by there to see if we have resources for you before you leave. And then if we didn't get your books today, we'll bring them to your orientation. We don't quite have everything in yet, but hopefully by orientation we'll have everything else that we need. And then if you're not going to be returning as a teacher the next year, we just ask you to return them on week 32. Or if you're just doing an 8-week class when your class ends, just ask you to return those back. You can just give them to the hostess and she'll make sure that they get back to us. Alright, all of your course documents are going to be stored on Google Drive. I am going to be sending a link to your course documents probably the end of this week, the beginning of next week. So this is what that link is going to look like. It's going to come from my personal email address, and it's going to say that I have shared a file with you. Okay? And then the file, this one is the Chemistry Lab Lesson Plan. It's a PDF. This was just an individual file. I'm going to share an entire folder with you. It will be your class folder. Every class has a dedicated class folder. You are allowed to view that folder. You're not allowed to edit that folder because your folder is shared, for example, by all of our chemistry teachers, okay? All of our physical science teachers. So when you get the email, you can just click the link and it will go and it will open your folder and you'll see all of your class documents. So let's just take a look at, oh, my internet dropped. Just a minute.
It's the top one, yeah.
I'm going to take a look at just a class folder. They're all pretty much structured in a very similar way. Okay, so when you open your course folder, you'll see every course folder has teacher training resources file in it. Okay, so I'm going to click on that file. This is something new that we've added this year, and this has come out of the most common questions we get specifically from our new teachers. There's a couple of things that we use. We use Google Drive and we use GradeLink, and you'll interact with both of those on a very regular basis. And we probably get more questions about those two platforms than anything else. So your first go-to if you have a question about GradeLink or about Google Drive is in this folder, okay? Because we put the most common tutorials in there that people ask for. So you'll see things like GradeLink, just a general introduction video. It's a real quick video introducing you to GradeLink, which is our school management system. That handles everything. Everything for parents, students, and teachers is handled through GradeLink. GradeLink, how to take attendance, how to add images to a post, how to add hyperlinks. At one point or another, you're going to need to use all of these tutorials. Don't watch all of them ahead of time, okay? When you're ready to take attendance, watch the attendance video, okay? GradeLink is a very simple platform, very easy to use, but just, don't try to watch all of them at one time or read the PDFs because you're not going to need them. A couple of other things. Let's see, Google Drive, how to share a file with students. You're going to be sharing files on a regular basis. Genius Scan, there's a Genius Scan video here. That is the platform that we're asking all teachers and students to use this year to send documents back and forth. It's very simple. You download it to your phone, you center your phone over a document, and it instantly makes a scan of it. And then you can save it on Google Drive, you can email it, you can do a lot of different things with it. We're no longer allowing students to send you pictures of documents. Those are hard to store, those are big, those are hard to manage. So we're transitioning everybody to Genius Scan. So you'll be communicating this information to your students as well. Your lesson plan tells you how to do that. So in addition to that, there's some very general resources in there that you're going to probably need on a regular basis. The first is our academic calendar. This shows you all of the events for the entire year. Okay, and I think we've got 2 pages on here, but everything is in date order. And so that gives you just an overview of, hey, you want to know when spring break is? It's there. And then we have another resource in there. We have quarterly dates. Celeste, our admin, has taken the calendar and broken it down by week and by quarter. So, for example, if you want to know when the Iowa test is, the ITED, week 8, first quarter. Okay, so she's got it broken down in 8-week segments because we operate on quarterly schedule, because Toccoa Falls College operates on a quarterly schedule. So we've adopted their schedule exactly. Okay, so if you want to know when spring break is, you want to know when Christmas break is, Thanksgiving, all of that, it's all both on the academic calendar and on the quarterly calendar. I will let you know in advance that we do not have class Thanksgiving week. However, the students do have work from home. Okay, we do not take that week off. Toccoa does not take that week off. So in your lesson plan, it'll tell you how to manage that, what information to send out to the students and all of that. But other than that, spring break will be the week of St. Patrick's Day in March, and then our last day is going to be the week of May 9th next year. So again, everything you need is right there on the calendar. All right, also in the folder are the Tandem Tenets, which is our program handbook. So if you have any kind of issue that comes up, you want to know what the dress code is, you want to know what the student discipline policy is, what's the attendance policy, all of that you can find in the Tandem Tenets, and again, that's in your teacher resources folder. Okay, many lesson plans tell you to play Zonk as a review, play Quizlet, whatever, different games, different resources. This PDF tells you how to do that. Gives you all the information on how to play those games that you'll be directed to use in your lesson plan. Okay, other than that, the rest of the tutorials, I just encourage you to use them as needed. When something comes up and you're not sure how to do it, the lesson plan tells you to do something. The lesson plan will usually tell you to go to this folder if you don't know how to do it. So, for example, all of our classrooms have projectors, and many days you will be connecting your laptop to the projector. And then you will put, maybe if you're showing a PowerPoint, your lesson plan will tell you to put it into presenter view so you can read the notes. Well, if you're not sure how to do that, there's a tutorial on that. PowerPoint, how to use presenter view. Okay, and the lesson plan will say, go to the folder, watch the tutorial so you know how to do it. Okay? Alright, so do you have any questions on the teacher resource folder? It's pretty basic. We tried to make it as helpful and useful for you as possible. Alright, going back to the chemistry lab class folder, again, this is the general folder. Pretty much all of our high school classes and 8th grade classes will have a test and quiz folder. Okay? We found that it's easier to break those out of the main resources. So if I click this, I can see there are the tests as well as the answer keys for the chemistry tests. So you can just print off, so for example, if you need test 3, you can just attach that to an email, send it to your hostess and say, hey, I need 10 copies of test 3 next week. Alright, so it's very easy to share documents to get, the copies that you need. And then many resources in your folder, going back to the class folder, it'll tell you to, for example, your lesson plan will say, put a link to the scientific method experiment on your grade link class page. And I'll show you about class pages and how to do that. But anything your lesson plan tells you how to do, that resource is more than likely going to be in your class folder. Even videos, there's very few videos that we send the kids to the internet for. Most of the videos are going to be in your Google Drive folder, and you're going to share it directly from Google Drive. Okay? And a lot of that happens by putting links on the teacher page. Alright, so do you have any questions so far about the Google Drive folder? Okay, probably the most important document in your folder is going to be the lesson plan. And when I send you your Google Drive link, I will tell you to check out your lesson plan first. And the first thing you want to do when you get your lesson plan, every lesson plan has, first of all, a table of contents. And the table of contents, you can click on any one of those items and it'll take you in the lesson plan directly to that page. So you don't have to, if you're on week 30, you don't have to go through, 50 pages to get to week 30. You can just click the link. It'll take you to week 30. Now, if you're going to print out your lesson plan, first of all, don't print it out until after orientation and only print out 1 quarter at a time. Okay, because it's likely some things could possibly change as we get going, and if we see something needs to be tweaked, we'll make little tweaks. So I always say don't print it out for the first time until after orientation, and then only print out 1 quarter at a time, 8 weeks at a time, and then go in a week before the 2nd quarter, and if you want to print it, print the next 8 weeks. Okay? So the table of contents, you can easily navigate around through your lesson plan, because like this lesson plan is almost 60 pages, so that's a lot of documentation. Now, the most important part of the lesson plan initially are the teacher notes. This is an overview of some very important things that you need to know, that you need to keep in mind. Hey, Mr. B, how are you? Hey, how are you? Good to have you guys, thanks. So read those teacher notes, and again, that's another place where you'll find a link to your Google Drive folder. That's in there. The dates are in there. Just a lot of different resources, a lot of important information is in those teacher notes. So don't skip that over. Make sure you read the teacher notes. All right, and then there's just some basic information in every lesson plan about your course materials. It tells you the materials that we gave you. If you should have something and you don't, let me know. We try to make sure you have everything up front, but once in a while something gets missed. And then it also gives you a kind of an overview of your online materials. Again, your Google Drive course folder, the test folder, any test folders, any important folders that you need to know about. It's all going to be in that introductory portion of the lesson plan. All right, and then for the science classes, there's information about your lab kits and lab manuals, all of that kind of stuff. We talk about all of that in the lesson plan. So please read those documents. Grammarly is a resource that you're going to be getting information about in the next week or so. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then facilitator teacher training. This section of the lesson plan just shows you all of the resources that are in that teacher training folder that I just showed you. So all of those tutorials, you can see them all here at a glance. You don't have to go to Google Drive. You can see what you have in that folder simply here in the lesson plan. And then here's some information on managing your GradeLink class page and teacher page. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a few minutes. You're probably not going to remember it. So this is just some really basic information to get you started in setting up your GradeLink pages. All right, and then you'll see that the lesson plan is broken down by week. And every lesson plan has a preparation section, things that you need to do ahead of time. I always recommend that you read that preparation section a week ahead of time, so you know what you need to gather, what you need to do for that next week, okay? And then a lot of times, many lesson plans will say send an email, and a lot of those emails are going to be scripted. It's going to tell you exactly what to say. So you'll just copy this, paste it into our email client, and just send it off. All right, any questions about the lesson plan? We try to make it really easy. So our lesson plans have been tweaked now. This is going on year 6. So we know the most common questions, we know the problems, and so we try to, every year in the summer, we just evaluate the lesson plans, we go through the lesson plans, changing them, updating them, doing whatever we need to make them more user-friendly and helpful for you, because that's our goal. All right, in terms of class supplies, I already mentioned you're going to have a projector in every classroom, so you'll have a projector, and you'll have all of the cables to connect your computer to that projector. You'll have a whiteboard. We provide markers and erasers. If you're teaching a science class for us, then you will have petty cash so that you can then go out and purchase any supplies that are going to be necessary. And Debbie will talk about that in a little bit. And then we do have an expense reimbursement form. So if you're not teaching science, if you're teaching another class, I'm going to use the example in English. In English 10, there's a day where they write a descriptive essay about pop. So you're instructed to go out and get microwave popcorn and pop the popcorn for the students. So you have two options. You can check with your hostess and say, hey, do you have any popcorn in the cabinet? And she might from last year. Or you can go buy popcorn and then turn around and expense it to Debbie, give your receipt to your hostess. She may have petty cash. The best thing to do is to always check with your hostess first to see if she has the supplies that you need. Science classes, sometimes you'll need a consumable and your hostess may have it. It may be in the science cabinet. But before you make any big expenditure, always check with your hostess because she may have some stuff stashed that you just don't know about. So, yeah. All right, Debbie, this might be a good time for you to explain the expense reimbursement process. You want me to get an expense reimbursement
Please,
form up?
thank you. 'Cause
Okay.
otherwise, it's your computer. Okay, she was talking about these classroom expenses. If that expense is like $10 or under, you can just go to your hostess and she will reimburse you. But you must have the receipt, okay? Take her the receipt and she'll reimburse you. Like I said, $10, maybe $15 or less. If it's a higher expense, then what you'll do is complete this form here and just fill out what it was for and all that, send the total, and then you will have to mail it to me because I'm not on every campus every week. In fact, I'm on at no campuses most weeks, okay? So I will need you to mail it to me. And I'm not going to give you my address right now because none of you are going to want to write it down, but we will put it as a link on the GradeLink homepage on how to mail stuff to me. So
Can't be emailed, Debbie? Can't be emailed?
yes. Oh, yes. Or
Yeah.
you could take a picture. No, but I need the
Genius
original
scan.
No, you
receipt.
need the original, okay.
Yeah. So eventually mail. If you need the money immediately, Genius scan it to me and I'll get it to you. But mail me because I need the original receipt. Please, please keep up with receipts. It's not something that's just optional. It's required for legal reasons. We need the receipts. Okay? But really, there's not much to it. Give me 2 weeks to get the check to you, and I'll just turn it right around and get it to you as soon as I can.
And she is very quick on that turnaround. We
Okay.
appreciate that. Thank you, Debbie. All right, so is there any questions about the Google Drive resources, expenses, expense reimbursement, any of that? And again, your lesson plan is pretty specific. When you need to go buy something, it tells you that and gives you, pretty much full directions. So, all right, this is the end of part 2.